Oh, well,
It is on there. Okay, no problem. Just so you know, we are gone back to doing our name badges and our ribbons. Most of you probably stopped in that room as you came in, but if you didn't, make sure you do before afterwards. Because our ribbon ladies and Rudy, yay, they're going to be there every week, and so you can add ribbons to your name badge. So you know how to name badge, I'll give you one this week. We're going to order some more, so we'll have some more next week if you didn't get one. And then you get to earn ribbons based on your sales or your party sales or being a star consultant. We also have, you can earn it based on your reorders to the company that you place. And a weekly challenge. We're doing a weekly challenge every week at the meeting. And so we're going to kind of switch it up different times and do different things. But tonight, our weekly challenge is going to be based on how you roll the dice. So I have two sets of dice, okay? I'm going to pass these around, and you just kind of roll it in the chair next to you and write down your number. And then I'm going to tell you your number represents what your challenge will be, okay? So like roll your dice and write down what number you get. This is kind of fun. Just write down your number, and I'm going to take the challenge. So I can try to like roll a certain number to get that challenge, right? So just pass the dice around. Y'all take turn rolling it. Fortunately, I keep dice in my purse, so I was prepared for this. Because I like to play a fun dice game when I was kids, and sometimes we need to take stuff. So I always have dice and cards in my purse so that we can be prepared to be able to play it at any time. If you've been on a plane ride with me, I've probably taught you my dice game, or in a car ride, I will. Your weekly challenge, so this will be your challenge for this week. So based on your number, I'm going to tell you what they are. And you guys are watching at home, you can roll your own dice and write down your number right now. Or pick a number between 1 and 12. All right, so does everyone have their number? Have they made all the way around? Almost? Yes, everybody got it? Okay. All right, everyone have their number. Anyone get a 2? No? So how many get? Anyone get 3? Okay, 4. You 4s? Okay, 4. Here's your challenge, is to book 4 on-the-go appointments. 4 on-the-go appointments. An on-the-go appointment is you call your customer and say, hey, I'm going to drive it out for a few minutes and let you try some of the latest Mary Kay products. And let me bring you a new catalog and show you some of the new stuff. It's an on-the-go. It's not a full facial and makeover, but it's probably a 10 or 15 minute. Stop by and say, hey, that's what. If your brain is like, hey, I got to tell you this new thing I'm doing. Let me drop by and grab coffee with you. 15 minutes. And show you what I'm doing. You pull out your list book and you show her what some of the Mary Kay products are, okay? So really easy. So book 4 on-the-go appointments. We always book within a 2-week period. So to be held within the next 2 weeks is always your goal. All right, 5. Who's 5s? The 5s are about 6. Woo! 6 is you get to invite 6 guests for an upcoming Mary Kay event. So next Tuesday or this coming Saturday, invite 6 guests for an upcoming Mary Kay event. Some of you are like, crap, I got you well dated. But it's a good thing, okay? All right, 7. You want to get a 7? You know what 7 is? You get to write your own challenge. So you get to write your own challenge, and you can here pick out one of these that I announce, okay? Or you know, okay, I need to grow in this area, and this is my goal that I'm working on. Whatever that is, you get to write your own challenge. That's right, there you go. Lucky number 7. That's what it says. Lucky 7. Here's your challenge. All right, 8. We have an 8. All right, 8 is to get 8 referrals this week from clients. 8 referrals. You have one facial. That is easy to do. You can play that fun little game, right? You get 8 referrals from clients. 9. You 9? About 10? 10. Sell 10 of the same item. So pick an item of the week. Your mascara, lip gloss, or something. You know, pick a item of the week and 10 of that same item. Now you could pick a lip gloss, and it could be any color of lip gloss, but you sell 10. That counts, okay? 11. 11s or 12s. Okay. I'll post these numbers on the website for you guys that are watching later. So, and so just make sure you get your ribbon, your name badge, and I'll have your challenge this week. And next week when you come in, there's a ribbon that says, I met my goal. So if you come in here and you did your challenge that you're getting right now, then you get a ribbon for your name badge next week. So I met my goal, so everyone knows. Isn't this kind of fun? It gives you some real specific to focus on this week. And that's our goals. You walk out there and you have one clear focus or challenge that you're going to work towards this week. And then, of course, the details for Fall Retreat or upcoming events are on here as well. So how many new consultants do we have that are in here to do new consultant training? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. So you guys are going to come with me. We're going to go in this long room here. You can leave your stuff here. Just bring your notebook and your notes. I'm going to grab my handoffs here. having contractions.
Is she really?
Well, she keeps having contractions, but not, and that was more of the room last than so, I think that's why me and Rachel were gonna flip flop rooms. But, okay, hold on, let me shut this door. We're gonna leave Laura in here, and I thought I had this all over, but all these I've already done. Yes, Katie's been having contractions, but they're not steady enough to actually have the baby yet. So she's just kind of stuck. They want her on bed rest. So I'm sure she's going crazy. So, okay, well, tonight's subject is booking, because that is one of the main things that we have got to absolutely perfect and get proficient at, to be able to maintain a good Mary Kay business. And so it's probably one of the things too that I think is the scariest for the most people. And it's like we make it out to be bigger than what it actually is. Let me shut this door too. Hold on. So we tend to get this phobia, like the phone is going to like turn off or something like that. I don't know what it is exactly. And so then we like put it off. And then we start, oh, okay, well, I've got to do this first, and I'll do it later. And, the yard needs mowing, and so I'll go do that first. And so we kind of come up with all these other things besides just cooking, and you're not allowed to yawn, Jamie. You'll make me yawn. I'm just over there yawning. The whole room will start going in here in a minute. So, the most important thing about cooking is to remember that it is your state of mind. And so the way you think about it and the way that you approach it makes all the difference. And so I did post a really good training about that on my Facebook group today. Just kind of that mindset and kind of how we think about it. So very first thing I recommend is that you have a very clear-cut goal of why you're booking. Okay? And so that is not because I need to pay my bills. Yes. That is a necessity, but that's not something that's very motivating for you. So you've got to have in front of you a picture of something you want to earn, a trip you want to take, something that you want to do with some of that extra money. And then so you can say, this is why I'm picking up the phone and booking, okay? Maybe for some of you, it's that you want to stay home more with the kids. And that could be a reason why you're picking up the phone. I don't want to go work a regular job. Or maybe it's because you want to, quit a full-time job and be able to stay home more. Whatever that is, you just got to have a clear picture of that in your mind, and you've got to have a visual reminder of that so that when you're kind of feeling, I just don't want to go book, I don't want to call people, I don't want to pick up the phone, when we are thinking about that, then we will, look at that and that overcomes it. You know what I'm saying? Because the need for that overcomes the fear of picking up the phone. So we've got to have that visual for us. You've got to be excited when you pick up the phone, and you need to be in a good mood. If you are not, find something that puts you into a good mood. Whether it's a couple of songs that you like, cranking up the iPod, going for a walk, do something that puts you in a better mood. Because I guarantee you, people, the way you call people and the way you leave messages, they know whether you're happy or sad, okay? If you are talking on the phone to someone and you are smiling while you're doing it, your voice sounds completely different than if you are frowny, okay? You're talking like that, and I've got this thing going on Tuesday night. Yeah, you might want to come to it. No, I'm not really sure. I don't know. If you sound like that on the phone, nobody's going to book with you. Sorry, I'm hot, guys, so that's them off. So, you've got to make sure that you're happy, you're excited, and you're smiling. And, even if you're not even sure what you're excited about, just be excited. Okay, enthusiasm can get you a long way. Because you guys have seen it. You'll see a brand new consultant come in, and she's been in for like a minute, okay, and she comes in, she's like, parties, and you're like, what is she doing? I don't like her. I've been doing this a long time. We kind of automatically, you're like, how did she do that? Because I've been trying to do that, and I'm not able to do that. 9 times out of 10, it's her enthusiasm. So enthusiasm can take you a long way when necessarily skill won't. So it's not always skill-based,
They can hear enthusiasm, and when you're excited and that tone of voice is there, people will say yes, even if they're not even sure what they're saying yes to, okay, and that's fine. I've called many a person and said, oh my gosh, I got this really fun event you've got to go to on Monday night, I'm coming to get you, and you just have to go. Now, I didn't tell them anything about it. I did not give them details. I just told them they had to go and was excited. Sometimes we kill people with way too many details. Okay, so your Star Consultant prize is also a good motivator for you if you are working for a particular prize. That is a really good help you get in the mindset of booking. I really want this prize. So I always encourage you at the beginning of each quarter to pick out the prize you want, put that on the cover of your date book, or maybe your binder, whatever it is that you will be seeing when you're making your booking calls, because that's motivating for you. If there's a prize on there that you're really wanting and you don't want to pay for it, then you will go sell product to earn that prize. So make sure that you have that they're visible for you. Another thing that I think is important is to know your numbers, okay? A lot of people come into this business and they expect to pick up the phone and call 5 people and get 5 parties booked just like that. And that is a totally unrealistic expectation, okay? And so knowing your numbers and kind of knowing what the averages are and being prepared for that, that makes you, in other words, if you do pick up the phone and you call 5 people and you get 5 no's, that's okay. Okay, that's more normal than the person that picks up the phone and gets 5 yeses right away. And so that's what people need to realize. And I know some of you were there for Linda Tupin last night, some of you were, but she's like, yes, a party canceled or rescheduled, or someone said no to you. Someone is not dying. They are not terminally ill. It is not something serious or bad. It's okay. It is okay if a guest cancels. It is okay if a party reschedules. It's okay if a party cancels and never reschedules. Now, we may not like it, but in the whole grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. And so that's what we just have to come to realize that. And the way I tend to look at it is when somebody won't book a party or they decide they're canceling a party, I'm just too busy, I don't have time. I've heard that one before. I'm like, they're missing out because I'm a really fun person to hang around and we would have had a great time at that party. Okay, so that is their loss and not mine. Okay, so that's the way I tend to think of it. But when I was a new consultant, I did not think of it that way. I was like, they canceled their party, what's wrong with me? I must thought I'd done something right. We always try to take ourselves apart. So knowing your numbers will help you keep from picking yourself apart. So you have to make about 21 good phone calls to reach even 6 or 7 people. And I have made 20 phone calls before and reached no one. I will tell you, I have gotten proficient at voicemail, okay? I can do voicemail. In fact, sometimes I get surprised when someone answers the phone because I leave so much voicemail. And some days I'll make 20 calls and I'll have 10 or 15 people answer the phone. But your average is going to be 6 or 7 people to answer the phone out of 20 people, okay? Now, out of those 6 or 7 people that you actually talk to, you can probably expect to book around 3 or 4 of them. Okay, instantly on the spot, book them. All right, and that's an average. Now, out of those 3 or 4 bookings, what is our numbers? How many facials, parties, appointments reschedule or move at least one time? Half, 50%. Okay? Now, whenever someone is disappointed with their bookings, it 100%, almost 99% of the time comes back to they have not made enough phone calls. Okay, so if you have called 4 people and you have booked 2 and both of your facials cancel that week, whose fault is that? Yours? Because you didn't make enough calls, right? Okay, because if you had made more calls, you would have 5 bookings on your date book, and then when half of them rescheduled, you would still have a couple left, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got to know those numbers. We have to know the numbers because if we don't, then we just get upset and say, I can't do this, okay? And I have seen girls do it. And they'll get their initial 2 or 3 friends to have a party, and then they stall right there, okay? Because they're scared to call referrals, or they call a couple of referrals and they don't get a lot of results with it, and then they quit. They're stalled out right there, okay? I will give you an example. Okay, well, when we first started playing the deserted island game, you know, I did a party and I probably had about 40 or 50 referrals from that party. And it wasn't an extremely good party. And one of the people that gave me referrals, she did not even buy $1 from me. Okay, like I really thought she didn't like me, but then I realized, like, at the very end of everything, I like asked her if she wanted to be on my mailing list, because I'm like, this lady doesn't like me, she didn't buy from me, she never wants to hear from me again. I asked if she wanted to be on my mailing list. Oh, I have a consultant. I was like, what did she tell me this an hour ago, okay? Because here I am thinking she just didn't like me. Okay, but she gave me referrals, okay? And so I was calling, I was texting referrals at that time. But I do like texting, but I will tell you, you don't get as good a results as calling, period, okay? And I know that's may drive a lot of you crazy, and I know I have a lot of new girls that'll probably watch this training, and I know they love texting, okay? But you are probably gonna get about half or less of the response with texting than you would calling, okay? So when I text and when I have more referrals than I know what to do with, and I don't care if I don't book as many of them. So, you know, I was texting these referrals, there was probably a good 40, 50, you know, referrals that I had, okay? Out of like the first 30 that I texted, you wanna know how many I booked? One, okay, out of those, I booked one. Okay, and that person did hold, and that person is one of the top consultants in my unit now. Okay, so that's just to kind of give you a perspective. Out of about a good 30, 40 referrals, I actually successfully booked one person. Yes, they bought from me. It was like 3 months later before I signed them as a consultant, so it did not happen instantly. But that's about how long it takes to work those all the way through. Okay, now had I had called all of those referrals, the result might have been better. I will never know. But I can probably pretty easily say that they would have been. But that's just to kind of give you the perspective, okay, of what transpired from that many leads. So that's why having a good source of new leads is so important in your business, because if you cannot sit down and make 20 straight phone calls, then you need to start working on some ways to get some new leads. Okay, because to really have a successful business, to earn a car, to be a director, any of those things, you need to be able to sit down and call 15, 20, 30 people just like that. Okay, and you need to have the numbers to do it. And if you don't, then you've got to back up a little bit. You've got to have that conversation with your director, and you've got to be willing to work for those new leads. Okay, and it's always going to be about new leads. It's always going to be about new business. So look at Jody, those were all new leads. Okay, those were not people she knew before for business. Okay, those were all new leads that she had this week. You know, had 5 or 6 good parties and sold $1,200 in product, and she made friends with them. Okay, you know, all of my consultants that are in this room now or watching this training, I did not know them prior to anything. They came through me through either base leads or bridal leads or referrals or however it was, but I did not know any of them, okay? And I didn't just, you know, pull them out of thin air. I had to work to get those leads, okay? So you've got to make sure that you have that. So if you are disappointed right now with how your bookings are going, then, you know, it's number one, you just didn't make enough calls that week, period. You did not make enough phone calls. And you have to go back to yourself again and say, what am I working for, and what is this worth to me, and what am I willing to put into it? Okay, now I personally like to have a full straight hour or 2 to make phone calls. Okay, and I also like it because then when people are calling me back, I'm sitting right there at my desk. And I have my date planner open, I have my computer open, I have the calendar for the studio open, and that's how I like to work, okay? Now, everybody has a different way about that, but you have to find out what works for you. I want to make as many phone calls as I can, and I want to like go through a whole list of whatever leads I have, and I want to be able to call, message every single one of them and not stop, okay? And that's how I personally like to work. Now, perhaps you want to make 3 or 4 phone calls, get 1 booking, and then quit and say, I got my booking for the day. And a lot of people like to break it up into little increments like that. You know, lease is prime prime example of that. You know, she utilizes time in between her interpreting appointments in her car to make 3 or 4 phone calls at a time and try to book somebody. And then she goes to do another appointment, and then when she comes back to her car, you know, she answers voicemails, texts, or makes a few more calls. And that's how she fits hers in. And so you got to decide what works for you and what is how you work most effectively. And so if you want that large block of time, then you've got to put that in your date book. You've got to schedule it, and you have to keep that appointment with yourself as it is a doctor's appointment that took you 2 months to get, and then you know if you cancel it, you won't be able to get in for 2 more months. Or like when we schedule an appointment to get our hair done, and if we cancel, it's going to be a week or 2 before we can get into our hairdresser. Okay, you've got to hold that appointment with the same type of, you've got to hold yourself to the same standards. And if you don't set time aside and schedule it, you're not going to make the booking calls. You have got to put that into your weekly plan sheet. You've got to put that into your schedule. And maybe it's Tuesday and Friday are my booking days, or maybe it's Sunday and blah, blah, blah. You know, for me personally, I love making phone calls on Sunday afternoons. Monday is my second favorite time. So I do a lot of my booking on Sunday, and then I do like all of my follow-up on Monday. So I like to have 2 days back to back so that, you know, I can contact a lot of people. I can have them calling me back, and then any that don't by Monday afternoon, I can send them a text message to kind of follow up. Okay, so that's kind of personally how I like to do it. And so, you know, by the end of Monday, if I feel I don't have enough bookings on my day book, then I will take part of Tuesday to book as well. I'll put that into my schedule so that I make sure I've got, and I like to book myself up for 2-3 weeks. When I sit down, I just want to book it solid, and then I'll, you know, I do it consistently every week though. So that's the other thing is consistency. So kind of got off track a little bit. Going back to your numbers, you need to know how many phone calls you made. You need to know how many people answered the phone. So you've got to track this on a weekly or monthly basis, okay? You've got to know your own numbers. How many phone calls did I make? Out of those phone calls, how many people did I talk to live? How many of those said yes and booked with me? You need to know those things, okay? Now, personally, I work Bridal Leads. Okay, I have an Excel spreadsheet, and I color code my spreadsheet. Okay, so like when I call the person, I put in the date I called them and whether or not I talked to them or whether or not I left a message, and then I highlight them in green. So I changed that whole thing to green because I'm making money. So that's kind of how I think about it in my head. When I actually book that person, you know, I write in there, I booked them and what date I booked them, and I change their color to blue. So the ones that are in blue, I know are all booked, okay? Now, if I talk to somebody and for whatever reason I can't get them booked that day, they're going to call me back, I'm supposed to call them, I'm supposed to text them or something, I put those in purple, okay? So I know those are the ones that I've got to actively follow up with are in purple. So 2 days later when I come back to that spreadsheet, I automatically know who I need to follow up with, okay? And if I have called somebody and they have said no, or if they have a consultant or it was a bad number, I mark all of those and I put them in red so that I do not call them again. And so that is personally how I do it. But I can go back and I can look at my spreadsheet month after month, year after year, and I can see, okay, I had 25 leads here. And I can go back and I can see how many of those leads booked. I can see how many held. I try to go back and update them and, you know, say how many actually bought product and what my total sales was from those leads. I usually try to do that. I'm not always great about it. And then if I recruited somebody, I try to make note on that too so that I can see that I recruited that person, okay, or how many people I recruited from that batch of leads, okay. I would say my average for 20 or 30 bridal leads is probably, you know, 8 to 10 good bookings. And you know, a good half of those end up holding. Okay, I mean that again, just numbers. And I can usually go back and track about every single month that I have done leads either to some really good customers or some good consultants that I got out of it. Now, to get a batch of leads like that and expect to get 10 consultants out of it is an unrealistic expectation, but 1 or 2, yes, that's definitely an expectation if they're worked full circle. But you need to be able to go back and look at that, okay? And usually when people are frustrated, they're not getting what they want out of their, you know, their business, it is because they're not working in enough volume. okay? And so we have got to work in enough volume. So setting aside the time for yourself each week is one of the most important things to do. I mean, you absolutely have to do that. You've got to make the booking time weekly, consistently, week in, week out, month after month. If you don't, you do not have a good business, period. That's it. Okay, there is no secret to this business other than you have got to be willing to book appointments. And if you're not willing to book appointments, you're not willing to call people, then this is probably not the business for you, because they're not going to beat down your door. People are way too busy today. And just because you're a Mary Kay consultant and you've got all these great products doesn't mean every one of your Facebook friends is going to message you and say, I need this and I need that and I need the other, okay? And I love Facebook. I love Facebook. It gives us a lot of opportunities. How I personally use Facebook is for after 9 o'clock at night when I can't call people, okay? Then I can Facebook message them, especially when I'm needing some extra bookings and it's too late for me to call people. Nowadays, especially the younger generation, you can call up to like 9:30, okay? So I do all the time. But, you know, if it's after 10, I can message somebody on Facebook. I really can't call them, okay? So that's how I use Facebook for that. I use Facebook to follow up with current customers. And I use Facebook to follow up with people that either their phone number has been written down wrong, I don't have an accurate number for them that I can look them up on Facebook. And so that's great. I don't personally like to rely on Facebook to get all of my bookings, okay? And I know there's a lot of girls that think that's the easy way to do it, and I'll post it on Facebook and, you know, I'll get 10 or 20 bookings. No, you gotta pick up the phone. Sorry, hate to tell you. There may be a few girls that works for, and it may work at some times during the year, but on a consistent basis, you are going to have to call people. So just get over it. If you don't have unlimited minutes, get it now. So because you're going to run out of a whole bunch of minutes on your phone. So scripting is important. You need to know what you're going to say when you call the person. The longer that we are in Mary Kay, the further away from scripts that we get because we think we know better. And so we get further and further away from them. And, you know, it's fine for you to come up with your own script, but you've got to know it, okay? And so I basically use the same script for about everything that I do, and it's in my head. And I can spout that off like nothing because I've said it 5,000 times. And so that is just a part of me. It's a part of who I am. I can book people in my sleep. Sometimes I am, you know, setting up like to, you know, go out to dinner with a friend, but I'm effectively booking them. So what's better for you, a weeknight or a weekend? I have Thursday night open or Friday night. Which is better for you? And one of my friends said, Tamara, you're booking me. And I'm like, yes, I am. So, but I mean, it's just part of who I am, you know, so it's like, that is how ingrained in me it is, okay? And that's why I'm a director, and that's why where I'm at, is because I have my 10,000 hours in. I have said that script 10,000 times, and I have booked more people than I can ever count, okay? If you haven't, then that's why you're not excellent at it yet. I'm excellent and incredibly proficient at booking. It took me 4 years to get there. Okay, nobody can expect to be proficient in their first 6 months. You can get good at it, but proficient, no. Okay, so this is definitely one of those things that the more and more you do it, the more practice you get at it, the better you get, okay? And there are still times when, you know, because I just went to Mexico, I was gone for a week, you know, the 3 or 4 days before I left, I told myself I was going to make a bunch of booking calls, and I didn't, I got busy. And so then by the time I got back, I got home on Thursday night late. It was too late to do any booking then. And I had to leave Friday at like 3 o'clock to go to Louisville. And so then I was just in Louisville for Friday and Saturday. And I didn't come back till Saturday night. So when Sunday rolled around, I mean, it's been like 2 weeks since I have picked up the phone to book. And I'm like, I'm stumbling over my words. I sound terrible at it. I mean, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it was like my first day booking again was like a disaster. Okay, and I'm a director and I've been doing this for a lot of years, but I had not actually done any booking time for like 2 weeks, and I was out of the habit of it. And it took me a good 10 or 20 phone calls to get back on a roll. In fact, that day, oh gosh, that day sucked. Okay, that was just like, oh my Lord. Lord. I just had one of those days where I just wanted to put down the phone and never pick it back up again. But then on Monday, it was a whole different story, new day, and then I was booking people left and right. So, even us, we kind of get in those ruts sometimes, so to speak, and we all do, but we have to learn how to work through those, and we have to kind of learn how to keep going, and then you will get the good. You may get them all at one time. You may get, 15 terrible calls and then 15 great ones right behind it, but there are some people that quit and never pick the phone back up again. So having that script, really memorizing it is very key. And just getting proficient at it. And there are times in my business that, I've been making phone calls and I haven't gotten the results I wanted. I picked up the phone, I'll call one of my director friends, and I'll say, this is what I'm saying, tell me what you hear in it. And then they'll critique me. And there is nothing wrong with that. That is a sign of a good leader when you can critique yourself or say, I think I'm off and I need some help with that. Okay? And so if that's something that you need to kind of role play with another consultant or you need to talk with your director about, do it. Okay? Because other people can hear things in our voice that sometimes we can't. I'm trying to remember what it was, but there was something that one of my director friends, she was like, okay, well, this is all I heard in that segment. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize I said it that way. I can't remember the exact details of that right now. But I didn't even think about it that way. I didn't hear it that way. So, but when I effectively booked her, I just called her up and treated her like she was one of my referrals and booked her. And so we do that with each other sometimes. And I think that is very helpful. And that just kind of helps you critique yourself. So, there's been times when a friend of mine, another director friend of mine called me up and she said, I want to know how you do this. And I'm like, okay, hang up and don't answer your phone when I call back. And so I left my message for her that I leave for everyone. And she's like, oh my God, that was so good. But I just say it every day, so I don't really think about it. And, she was wanting to critique herself. So then she got to listen to what I was doing and kind of critique herself. And so, do that. Do that with a consultant that is got more bookings to do. I mean, Jody is a prime example. She's excellent at booking, obviously. Annalise is proficient at booking. Me and Rachel, of course, have to be. And so, find somebody and kind of just say, can I borrow you for a few minutes or go make the phone calls together. Okay, that's very powerful. I know Gabby joked about it, but I locked her in the room the other day and I made her make 5 or 6 phone calls. And she did not. I made a few of mine. I let her listen to me and she even recorded it on her phone so that she could play that back whenever she wanted to. And I was like, okay, I'm leaving and you've got to call 5 people. And she's like, what? I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm walking out and you've got to call 5 people and you're not allowed to come out until you do. There's what she was posting on Facebook. Tamara locked me in a room and made me and the door was not locked. So people left every time. But it's just like, she's like, oh my gosh. So, but she was here, she was in front of me. She had to make phone calls. Okay, she had to do it. Now, sometimes if you go home, to find all those other little things you got to do. So, if that's you and you have a problem with that, schedule your booking time with a friend, okay, with a sister consultant, to where the two of you, that's all you do during that time. And make it a game. I used to do that all the time. Me and Kelly would sit and book together. And, we would make it a game to see who could get the most bookings. And then it's fun, or you do something like whoever gets the most bookings, the other person has to buy dessert. Do something fun like that to where it's not you just sitting by yourself making phone calls. Now, some people cannot book in front of someone else. That's you. It's okay. I know people like that. I can't book if there's a lot of noise. Now, if I have a friend there that will be quiet when I tell them to be quiet, I'm okay with that. But I can't kind of do it, if there's a lot of people like in a noisy restaurant, I can't do it. Some people can. So everybody's just kind of different. You have to learn yourself with that. So, get very proficient and have a script for leaving voicemail, because you do have to leave a lot of voicemail. I have gotten really good at voicemail. Okay, and with voicemail, you have to give them enough information without giving them too much and also without getting cut off. Because a lot of voicemails have a time limit and then they go, message erased. Oh my gosh, that freaks me out. Okay, I did it 3 times the other day where I got cut off and I was ready to throw my phone across the room. You laugh, yes. So it's like, ah! So, there have been times that I have not been able to get a voicemail to record. Sometimes people call back almost better without them, but it's okay. So either way, but I mean, you really got to get good at giving them just enough information so that they know who you are and why you're calling without going too long. So, that is kind of, when I leave a message, these are just kind of my little tips for it. I'm very clear. The first thing out of my mouth is who I am and why I'm calling. This is Tamara Reporter with Mary Kay, and I'm calling because you entered drawing at the nail salon off Nicholasville Road. Okay, because you have like 30 seconds when that person answers the phone because they're deciding who you are and whether or not they're hanging up on you. No, I'm joking. But some people are. But, people are busy, and, if you're somebody that's, oh my gosh, I mean, I've even done it. The people that call you about who you're going to vote for, I hate it. Okay, I don't want to hear any of the political stuff. I don't care. I don't even care if I vote. I know that's terrible, but I don't. Okay, I have hung up on them before. I'm just like, I'm sorry, I don't have time. I appreciate the phone call, but okay, I'm going. But you need to let people know who you are and why you're calling pretty quickly, and you need to be clear about that, whether they're live on the phone or whether you're leaving a voicemail, okay? If they have won something from me, I tell them what they won. Now, if they have won a pampering package and a gift certificate, that's all I say at that point. I don't go into great detail, okay? And half the time, they only listen to the first part of what you say anyway, or they only catch part of it, and you're going to have to repeat it. So you don't want to make that part too long, okay? When I leave voicemail, one of the biggest tricks that I do is I let every person know that they can call or text me back, okay? Because if their preferred method of communication is text, they'll text you back instead of calling you, okay? And that's okay as long as that's their preferred method of communication. But I always leave that on the voicemail. You may call or text me back, and I usually am very specific about the times. Best time to reach me will be tonight or tomorrow before blank, okay? So I'm giving them a kind of a deadline. If you don't give people deadlines, they just forget about it, they get busy, and they do something else. The other thing with letting them know they can text you back is that they will a lot of times be at work, and they can't call you, but they can text you. So I find on Monday's the day that nobody wants to be at work, and so Monday's like the #1 day that people surf the internet, okay? So like that's why it's my booking day, because I know most of them don't want to be at work anyway, and they'd much rather be texting me about something they've won than be at work. Okay, so like it works really good for me. So that's that's one of my main things is letting them know that they text me. Okay. Now there are times when someone has texted me and I just don't feel like they're understanding me, then I'll say perhaps we should talk on the phone, and that's okay. And get permission and get a time to call that person. Okay, and so I think that's okay too. Also, I do personally let people know if they don't reach me when they call back to please leave a voicemail. I don't even return missed calls on my phone, okay? Because there's too many that I get that I have no idea who they are, and I personally do not call somebody without at least attempting to leave voicemail. Now, once in a while, I have gotten cut off to where I can't do that, but generally, I always leave voicemail. I personally think it's rude to call somebody and not leave voicemail. I've had someone call my phone 4 or 5 times in a row, but they will not leave voicemail, and I just think it's rude. So if you have a phobia about leaving voicemail, get over it. And do make sure you're always giving that person a deadline to call you back. So, give you, for instance, any of my leads, whether they're base leads, they're bridal leads, they're referrals, the first thing that I usually do is call them, okay? I like to regular call them first, okay? And so I call them and I either talk to them live or I leave them a voicemail at that point, okay? And so, and I usually do give them a deadline to call me back, like, it's best to call me tonight or tomorrow. Now, by the end of the second day, if I have not heard from them, or if it's like late afternoon, I will send them a text. And I will say, hey, this is Tamara with Mary Kay. Did you get my voicemail about the blank that you won from me? Okay, my text is very simple, but it is basically asking them if they got my voicemail. Okay, and I get all kinds of replies to that, from, no, I didn't. What did I win? to, oh my gosh, yes, and I forgot to call you back. Okay? So, but at least you're making contact with that person. So I personally think follow-up is key. And I track this. I write down if I call the person and leave voicemail. When I text them, I write down that I texted them and the date so that I can track all of this. Okay? And I know where I'm at with that person. Now, if I call someone and I text them and I do not get any reply, I usually wait a good 4 or 5 days a week, whatever it is, until it's my next booking time. And then I either call them back or text them for a third time. I generally do try to call. I let them know who I am and what they want again, so same as before, but then I insert in there, I have tried to get a hold of you by phone and text and have not been able to. I need to talk with you soon because your gift certificate is going to expire on blank. And then this is another key part. I say, if this is something that you do not want to use, you may gift this to a friend or family member. And I leave that on the voicemail. I've even texted that to people. So, because some people might, you know, for instance, they might be, oh, well, my friend at work sells Mary Kay. Okay, so they might have already written you off, but they just don't feel the need to call and tell you that. But if you leave that on their voicemail, they might text you a friend that they want to give it to, okay? And so I had a girl like that. It was a bridal lead. She did not want to book with me. And so I asked her for a referral. And so this was like the second or third time that I contacted her, and she gave me the referral, and the referral booked with me, and that was Chelsea. And Chelsea's a new consultant, and Chelsea recruited Natalie, and Natalie just recruited Madison. Okay, and that came from someone who would not book with me, and they just didn't want to. Okay, so that they just thought they were too busy and did not want to book with me, but I asked for that referral. Okay, and so asking for that referral, even with what someone you think is a dead end, is an important key. And I know Nevelise is like the queen of that. I know one time she called a person, they wouldn't book with her, she asked for a referral, and she called the next person, and they wouldn't book with her, but they gave her a referral, so like the third person I think finally did book with her. But she had the persistence to keep going, okay? And many times we take the fact that somebody doesn't want to book with us personal. And so then we won't ask for the referral. And 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with you personally. They don't know you, okay? It has to do with them, their life, what's going on with them. It has nothing to do with you. So stop taking it personal. Ask for the referral. Referrals are important. The other thing that I do, and I learned this from Linda Tupin, was if I have called somebody, I've texted them, I've called them again, either that third or fourth time when I call them, you know, I let them know they can give it to a friend or family member, and then I also say, you know, I don't ever want to be one of those Mary Kay ladies that bug someone, and so, you know, I really do want to get your prize to you and honor your session, but I'm not going to call and beg you again. So this is going to be the last time I call. So if this is something you're interested in or you want to give it to someone else, please let me know by blank. And I usually give them like 48 hours, you know, like Wednesday at blah, blah, blah time. And again, you can call or text me back, whichever is easiest for you. And sometimes I even told them, you can look me up on Facebook at Tamara Border. You know, so I'm very clear with them that I'm not calling again. And you know what? I don't. I mark them off my list that I do not call again. So I have like it's like 4 times rule of contacting one person, and then that's it. They're marked off my list because you have to feel like you're done with a lead as well. You just don't need it sitting there forever. And if you have called this person and you've texted them, you know, 4 times, and then it's usually over a 3 or 4 week period, if they have not booked with you by then, they're most likely not going to. Okay, if they haven't given you a referral by then, they're not going to. Cross them off, I rip them out of my book, I tear them up, whatever it is, just something, you know, so that I feel like I am finished. But I do leave that final message, and I do let them know that I'm not calling anymore. Okay, so I think that is a very important key thing to do. Does anyone have any questions, something that they're having trouble with, that they want some help with? Y'all are too quiet. Y'all are too easy. What are the majority of you working referrals right now? Are you working like bases right now? Kind of what are the majority of what you guys are working?
Well, I'm going to start working with bases. It's interesting.
Okay, because I think that's I earned my car that way. So, and again, that's just numbers. You know, when I've seen girls go and like put one vase out, and then they come back and some kid like, you know, picked up all the things and stuffed it in there and tore the pin off, and then they're heartbroken. You know, and I'm like, that's gonna happen. And so, you know, I had 10 out when I was earning my car. I had 10 vases out, and that's what I worked. And so again, that is a total numbers game as well too. It's total numbers, and one vase you'll come back and it'll be packed full, and the other one will have nothing in it. And there's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to it. You just have, it's just something that you kind of have to keep doing. And so I think a script with that is key. Those are warm referrals. So they're usually, they know they entered a Mary Kay drawing 9 times out of 10, and they are pretty interested in what you're calling them about. So for me, I was comfortable with doing that. I have never been the warm chatter queen. That really intimidated me. But calling people to tell them they won my vase drawing was easy for me, and I enjoyed that. And so I was good with that. So I liked it, and I mean, I seriously, I remember, that's how I met Annalise. Okay, she was a base lead. That's why Jamie's sitting here. You know, now Jamie's met one of her team members that way too. You know, so, I mean, and that was just like one of the bases you put out. So, I mean, even if for all the bases I've ever done in the last 5 years, if I only got a consultant like Neil Elise out of it, it was worth it. You know, so you have to kind of put that in perspective too. Okay, even if I did bases for 5 years and I just got that one consultant out of it, it would be worth it. Now, I've had many, but you know, that's just kind of to think about it in that perspective. But yeah, I mean, I still keep 4 or 5 bases out. I've still got places that they're out right now, which I've got to check them tomorrow. I think I'm going to hire somebody to do that for me. Because I keep forgetting. I'm like, oh yeah, it's been like 3 weeks. I need to go check those. So, other questions that you guys kind of have for booking? Anybody kind of like stuck somewhere and they kind of need to like work through it, or had something that they're not kind of, that they don't know how to handle, that they don't know how to get past?
For me, I have a hard time, you know, getting the bases out there.
Okay.
Because you're never sure, you know, who to ask, where to go, and then I guess I have a hard time with getting past the whole, like, I don't want to inconvenience someone by asking them if I can put this here and take up a spot. So how to even go about that. I used a script for a little bit, but
I mean, my script for that is very, very short. To the point, I want to do a free drawing for your customers. And usually when you walk into a nail salon, they'll just wave it and say, you can put that over there. They're trained, you know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, also think about any businesses that you do business with. Now, not chain businesses. Chain businesses have laws and rules about that type of stuff. But, you know, like personally owned businesses that you do business with and that you support. You know, think about that. That's a prime place to put an enter to win out. And, you know, I also ordered some of those little tiny boxes from my girlfriend's house. The little plastic ones, because sometimes I love to do the great big pretty vases, but you don't always have room for that at every single salon. And so I try to put, you know, sometimes I'll have a little plastic one too. Sometimes I've just done really cute gift bags and put those out, and so those are a great source as well. But I just say I want to do a free drawing for your customers. Is it okay if I leave this? Okay, and that's it. I mean, that's as big as it is. Most of the time they don't ask me any more than that. If they do, I say I'm going to buy a gift certificate from your store to give away, and I'm going to give away some from me personally. And then they're like, oh, okay. Okay, someone that questions you in more detail than that, then it doesn't matter. Just say, you know what, never mind. If they don't want you to put it out, walk out. There are going to be places that tell you no. So you definitely want to be ready for that. You've got to be ready for the rejection, because not every place is going to let you. And it is still, even for me, you know, I don't want to walk in somewhere and them tell me, no, I can't put it out. That's not motive. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of have to be prepared for that, and you have to be willing, I guess, to accept that. You have to be willing to accept the no. Because you're going to have to get some no's to get a whole bunch of yeses too. Okay, so that's going to balance out, and you just have to You have to be prepared for that, and you have to be okay with it. But if you don't ever get the no's, then you can't ever get the yeses, and then you'll never know what you're missing. And then you'll never have that great recruit that, comes in and, brings 20 new people with her, and, you win a free car, all that good stuff too. So you've got to be willing to take the no's. And it's the same thing with just booking people on the phone. You're going to get no's. You're going to get the no's. You've got to be prepared for it, okay? The only difference in where you guys are sitting and in where me and Rachel are sitting, we've had no's told to us a whole lot more. Okay? We have a whole lot more no's than you do, okay? And I know, even when I get 5 or 10 no's in a row, it does not make me feel good. Okay? It's not like, woohoo, okay, I just got a bunch of no's. It's not. It doesn't make anyone feel good, but you have to kind of look past that and say, they don't know me personally. It's nothing personal. It has to do with them. I'm not going to take it personal, and I'm just going to move on. So you're going to have to risk that rejection to, with great reward also comes great sacrifice. And so that's going to be your sacrifice, is that you're going to have to hear the no's. And, if you're 100% not willing to do that, then it is probably going to be very hard for you to build a good business. Does that kind of help you with that? So, I had a brand new consultant one time that she decided she wanted to do vases. She'd been in Mary Kay for about 3 days. She made a couple of vases. She went to the first 2 places that she went and told her no, and she quit the next day. Completely quit, would not work her business again, hadn't even got her starter getting mail. That was it. 2 people told her no, and she was not willing to go past that. Now, that was her personality. Hopefully, she kind of grew up and matured out of that. I don't know, because I didn't hear from her after that, but that happens, and you're going to get people that they just don't want to hear no. But for me, every no is just another stepping stone to where I want to go. And so, if you don't take it personal, you realize it's nothing to do with you, then that makes it easier, And I had a customer that they had come to a party, they had bought from me, I had interviewed them to be a consultant, they had said they wanted to be a consultant, they had to find the money. That person never answered me again. They never answered the phone. They did not answer any of my text messages. They did not even answer me back when I invited them to things for like 8 or 9 months, okay? But I liked the person a lot. They kind of stuck in my brain. And so I kept, every once in a while I would just think about them, and I'd invite them to something I was doing at the studio. And so, it's like 8, 9 months later, I sent them an invite for spa night. Well, they came. And that night she was a new consultant. And I'm thinking, she didn't like me, I did something wrong, and it just all had to do with what was going on in her life. Oh, I know I haven't been very good at calling you back or anything. I've been really busy. I've had a lot of stuff going on. She didn't think anything about not answering my text or returning my phone calls. It really upset me. Because I was like, oh my gosh, I really liked her. I thought she liked me. What happened? And so there again, it had nothing to do with me personally. And we a lot of times take that personal. And a lot of people would have quit at some point calling her or texting her or, so I just had another customer. And same thing, I had talked with her about being a consultant, and she really wanted to, and then it's been like literally a year and a half. And so I, every once in a while, will message her. And so the other night, I saw her on Facebook, I sent her a message, and seriously, it had been over like a year since she had even answered me. She hadn't reordered product, nothing. And so I just said, I've got new products in, would love to do a makeover with you. She's like, oh my gosh, I would love that. Just like we talked last week. Okay, and it's like, my personality is I don't get that, but you have to understand that that's how that is sometimes, and that's how today's generation kind of is, and you can't take it personal, because if I had taken that personal, I would never have called that person again, I would never have invited them again, and they would not be a consultant in my unit. So, until somebody says, no, don't ever call me again, then just don't assume that they don't want to hear from you, because that's usually not the case. Now, if they say, no, I am not interested, you cannot go past that, you should take them off your list. But if they don't say that to you, then I think it's very okay to continue to text or call the person or message them on Facebook. Okay, does that help you guys with that? So,
Do you think Sunday is the best day?
for me personally, Sundays and Mondays are great.
Okay.
The best day is whatever day you have free to make calls. Okay,
Yeah.
don't talk yourself out of a day. Okay, like I've heard people for years say, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna call people on Friday night. Friday night's date night. Can't call people on Friday night." There is a lot of women out there that do not have a date on Friday night that will be very happy if you call and invite them to something, and they're the ones that will answer the phone. So call them. The ones that are on a date will call you back on Saturday, okay?
Yeah.
And it's all good. So you can't talk yourself out of certain times. And I've had Sundays that I can't get somebody on the phone, okay? Especially when football and basketball season starts, okay? And I've had Saturdays like that too. So, you know, it has a lot to do with what's going on in the world, with what's going on in sports. You know, there's a lot of those different variables. But if you don't have time on Sunday and you have time on Monday, then you make your calls on Monday. But for me, that's what fits into my life. You know what I'm saying? And I can just, I personally like the day that I book to be the day I don't have to leave the house.
Yeah.
And I want like all day. Okay, now I know some people that would scare them to death to think about calling and booking all day. But that's how I work, and you just, I understand that. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's what day you have available, make it work for you.
Yeah.
Okay? There's plenty of people that will sit there and say, "Oh, you can't make booking calls before 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon." Really? Seriously? My unit is made up of all students, okay? Students are usually out of class by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they're on the couch taking a nap, okay? Call them. So, you
I guess
know,
that's the problem that I've been having is that I've left so many messages and some people will call me back and some won't, and then I'll follow up and then I'll leave another message because I usually do it during the day. And I'm like,
Right.
well, this isn't being very effective.
right. Now, I mean, I do most of my booking during the day too, but
But you
it's
do it
true-
on Sunday.
No, I do Sundays
Oh,
and Mondays,
Monday.
and then a lot of times I'll do a third day, like Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
So it just depends, you know, if
Yeah.
I have a party booked and it cancels and I've got a few hours free, I do booking calls.
Yeah.
So your follow-up is what's key.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's leave the voicemail, wait 1 day or 2 days, text them,
Okay.
see who answers you back out of those, and then go back, you know, like the 4th or 5th day and call again.
Okay.
So it's that follow-up, and you're gonna have some people that never call you back.
Yeah.
Okay? And it depends again, what leads are you working right now?
Different ones. I have some from a base, and then I have some referrals from parties, and
Right.
just
Okay.
different ones.
Because, you know, I
so-
find base leads are the best to actually return your call because they know they entered a drawing.
Okay.
Bridal leads, half of those are never calling you back.
Yeah.
At least half, if
Yeah.
not more, okay, period. You know, and some of them will text me, but again, the follow-up is so key with those. And doing it in a timely fashion is really, really key.
Yeah.
And then, you know, referrals, it really depends on the person they came from, and sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not. And, you know, I had one of my great customers give me referrals, and oh my God, I got a hold of the rudest, most awful person in the world. Oh my gosh, yes, I would not even repeat what they texted me. And like, that,
the other day too.
yeah, I was like,
oh
whoa.
my god!
I'm like,
I was trying to
you
offer you
know-
something for free.
when that happens, I really think about that person must really be
Yeah.
having a bad day.
Yeah.
They're having a bad day, and I am the person that they just took it out on. But it has not, again, it has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Now, my customer did find out about it, not from me, and they called me and said, "Oh my God, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Like, I don't associate with people like that. I'm horrified." And I'm like, "It's no big deal. Don't worry. It's no big deal." You know, and I was kind of shocked because she's like the nicest customer I've ever had. And this was like the rudest person I've ever run into.
There you go.
We're going to go together, and she's just like, I will never even probably speak to that person again because there's just no way they should have acted like that to you. So, you know, I laugh at it now. You know, another thing that has been really helpful for me is that me and Elise trade stories. So we like see who can have the craziest and best story for the week, and we make a game out of it. You know, because we both work a lot of referrals, and we make a lot of phone calls, and so, you know, now it's like our little game. Like, we call each other up, we're like, you got a minute? Because I got a really good story. And I'm like, oh, I got one better than you. And so we make a game out of it. And so, you know, we just make fun with it. So now I have fun talking about the crazy stories, you know, that I've had. So, and, you know, like, especially when your message dies and you don't know it's a girl, or you think it's a girl and it turns out to be a guy. Those are always fun too. So.
Like, what?
They're like, excuse me? What are you offering me again? I'm like,
No, just joking.
yeah. Yeah, so I've had that happen a few times too,
Yeah.
so. Yeah, you know, just don't take it personal. Again, I laugh at it. I laugh at it and I brush it off. And so we've got to learn how to move on. In the grand scheme of things, he's this big. Okay, again, no one's hurt, no one's dying. It's not that big a deal if somebody tells us no, even if they hang up on us, okay? So my little game for when someone hangs up on me, and it doesn't happen that often, but once in a while, number one, those are people that do not know how to deal with their life at all, okay? And that's just what they do. They ignore people hoping it'll go away. And like with confrontation, and they just do not know how to handle their life. So I feel sorry for them. But I always call a person back that has hung up on me, and it always goes to voicemail, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Amanda, I am so sorry. I think my phone dropped your call, and I would never in a million years ever want you to think I hung up on you and would be that rude. I am so sorry. I greatly apologize. Okay, and even if I know, because I will tell you that, you know, one time when I thought someone hung up on me, they didn't. And so when I called them back, they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, my phone dropped the call. So you don't always know for sure that that's what happened. And so that's personally how I handle it. If I never hear from them again, you know, I just told them how rude they were in the nicest way possible, and I feel good about myself. And if they, you know, if it was a mistake, then, you know, they'll call me back and be like, oh my gosh, okay, you know, because sometimes they might think you hung up on them. So that does happen too. Misunderstandings happen. Phone calls do drop at inopportune times, and we know that. So, but no, I think that was a good question from you, Amanda. So yeah, just keep going. The biggest thing is to keep going and not let it stop you. Okay, the size of the woman is determined by the size of the obstacle that it takes to stop her. You know, and it's kind of like, if you've ever heard the baby on the board story. There's a board, a 2x4 stretched between two skyscrapers, and someone asked a woman, walk across the board. And she's like, there's no way I can do that. There's no way I'm doing it. You take her baby and you put her baby out at the end of that 2x4, and what is she doing? She is walking across that board, right? Okay, so it's with the proper motivation, we can do absolutely anything that we think we can. We just have to be motivated enough to do it. So, okay, I think we are done.